My name used to be Andrew. I was 19 years old, raised in a strict Christian household where I often felt invisible. I followed every rule, kept to myself, and tried to be the perfect son, but it felt like no matter what I did, I was never truly seen or valued. It was a lonely existence, always trying to earn an acknowledgement that never came. Searching for something more, for some kind of answer, I went to the library. I started exploring different religions, just out of curiosity, and that's when I stumbled upon Islam. At first, it was just academic, but the more I read, the more it resonated with me. It was like finding a piece of myself I never knew was missing. I decided to visit a local Muslim community. I was nervous, but I walked in and started asking questions about their faith, their way of life. To my surprise, they welcomed me with open arms. They answered every question with patience and kindness, explaining the core beliefs of Islam with such clarity and honesty. It wasn't long before my heart was completely convinced. I quietly took my Shahada, the declaration of faith, and became a Muslim. I chose a new name for myself, Abd. I didn't tell my parents, knowing it would be difficult. Of course, they eventually found out. The reaction was just as I had feared. They were furious, deeply disappointed, and they told me to leave their house. I had mentally prepared for this moment. I didn't argue or fight back. I had chosen my path, my faith, and I was ready to walk it, even if it meant walking alone. I packed my things and left, determined to build a new life, one with purpose and direction. Those first few years were tough, but Islam gave me a structure and a sense of peace I'd never had before. Pre-med, I worked hard. I studied my faith constantly, and I stayed focused on my goals. My faith was my anchor when everything else in my life had fallen apart. It guided my every decision and gave me the strength to keep moving forward. Fast forward 20 years. I'm 39 now, and my life is unrecognizable. I dedicated myself to Islamic studies and became a scholar, sharing the knowledge that had saved me. I also ventured into business, and by the grace of Allah, I was successful, earning millions. But the wealth was never the goal. I sold my company and used the money to serve others. One of my proudest achievements was building a masjid in a community that desperately needed one, giving people a place to gather, pray, and feel closer to Allah. My story started to get some media attention, not because of the money, but because of the journey and the intention behind it all. One evening, I heard a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, I was stunned. It was my parents. They looked older, and the years had clearly changed them. They stood there, hesitant, and then they started to speak. They admitted their mistakes, acknowledged the years of neglect, and the pain they had caused me. They apologized for everything. And then, they told me something that shook me to my core. They told me that they, too, had found their way to Islam. They asked for my forgiveness. Without a second of hesitation, I gave it. After 2 decades of silence and separation, we were finally a family again, not divided by our past, but united by our shared faith. Alhamdulillah. If it touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Peace be with you.